Hey guys, welcome back to the channels. Today's video is going to be an eBay special. I picked this up for a big project I'm working on. This is a Champion 7-ton portable hydraulic log splitter. Wasn't bad with freight and everything. I paid $6.99, so $700. Best I could find at Tractor Supply, Home Depot, Lowe's was starting out at $900 up to $1,000 and higher. For 7-ton, I feel like it's going to be perfect for what I'm doing. So I figured let's do a quick assembly video. Let's see how easy it goes together, and we'll go from there. Well, all right, got everything taken out the little box. So far, I'm just thumbing through the instructions, and they actually seem. I'm looking through the English instructions. They're actually very clear. They're legible. They're actually even with the good diagrams, we can see. I mean, it's literally showing you what to do. So this thing doesn't look like it's going to be a pain to install. I'm guessing the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and cut these tie straps. We're going to get the ram off of this I-beam setup. And from what I've noticed, which is also a clever design, the beam itself is going to be the actual fluid tank that holds your hydraulic fluid right in the beam. And I kind of like that idea. Kind of do, I guess, what do you say, kill two birds with one stone? So I guess the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and cut these tie straps. Assistant, would you hand me my knife, please? Thank you. Alright, let's go ahead and just back up a little, assistant. Let me go ahead and I'll go ahead and get these tie straps cut. We'll go ahead and move the ram off to the side, and I'm gonna go ahead and unpackage all this so we can get a little bit clearer idea of what we got here, and kind of start getting everything set up. We'll lay it all out so that way we can assemble this a little bit easier. Alright, well, from what I see, Champion has actually made this instructions very mightily easy. They've even pre-greased. They've even pre-greased these little spindles, so it's pretty straightforward. I know I'm out of frame, but what I'm doing is I'm pulling the cotter pin out, and there's a cotter pin and a flat washer. Trying to avoid getting all this grease on me, which is good. You can see all that greased up. It's good that they provide you with everything. Alright, looks like I'm going to get the grease on my hands, but it is literally simple as getting a tire, and it doesn't look like they're either way. It doesn't matter on either way. They advertise them as a never go flat tire, which is pretty cool. And literally, that's all we're doing. Maybe make sure y'all are in the shot. Literally just make sure you got the spindle pushed forward enough. Put the flat washer on. Take little Carter key. Cotton. It shows you how much I remember half the terminology anymore. But that's really all. That's all you really got to do. I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side. So far, I've gotten this put together. This doesn't seem like it's the Carter key. The Carter key is in. All I gotta do is just spread it one way. I'll go ahead and do the other same, and basically we got a little miniature skateboard here. So I went ahead and mounted the tires. Everything's good to go. Pretty simple process. Takes like 2 seconds to do. Only thing I've seen that kind of is upsetting to me is, if you kind of notice right there, the rim is scratched. Looks like it's scratched the powder coating on it, and I'm guessing that's probably the wheels probably came loose during transit. So I'm not blaming Champion. I'm probably going to blame the shipper more than anything, but it's cosmetic. I guess I could just go out and buy some touch-up paint or something if it bothers me that much. So what I've done is taken the bottom piece, which is basically there's going to be the tube that holds the reservoir, holds your ram, holds everything. It's the main workforce of this. And make sure y'all can see this. Make sure I'll get it showing frame. And if you've noticed down here, I have the whole unit flipped upside down, and why it is there's 4 mounting locations. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the whole entire assembled bottom, flip it upside down, and we're going to locate the holes. And it should be like so. See, I'm the one who's goofing up because I found 2 of them, or that's what it is. So basically all I'm going to do is I've got the 4 mounting holes ready. decide which way this is supposed to go. How about this? Let me read the instructions, because there's actually 2 different ways this can mount. I could do it with going on this side, or I could flip this around, and I guess the motor would go on the other side. Let me double check exactly which way this goes. I'll be right back with you. Let me make sure y'all guys are in this shot. Basically, putting on this bottom plate is pretty well simple. You're going to have 8 sets of holes. The 4 holes that are real wide apart from each other, and when you look at them, you'll understand there's like perfectly spaced out, symmetrical to each other, and pretty well, it's a wider pattern than this one. This is probably going to be the engine bolt plate. So what we're going to do, you're going to find the one that's symmetrical to each other, the square with the 4 holes, is going to be going towards the fill up for the center tube, that's the reservoir. Which the only real tool you're going to need to do this, you're going to find Allen head screws, and you're going to have a lock washer. That's pretty well simple. And you're going to need 8mm bot called a Torx. No, it's not a Torx. Allen, some kind of Allen wrench. I'm using the one on my ratchet. And one thing I do recommend, get yourself a bottle of Permatex blue. Don't go red unless you plan on cutting bolts off and rethreading them. Pretty well simple. Give this thing a little shake. And let's pull off the little cover. Alright. Thread your little lock washer on, and I use Permatex because so an application like this is going to be, this thing is definitely going to be vibrating, it's going to be moving, so we want to make sure everything is basically coated pretty well. We don't want no surprises down the road. And I forgot this is a brand new bottle. Let me cut the tip off this, get this set up, and we'll be right back as we're screwing them together. Alright, well, we're on to the little front foot, I guess you would call it. What do they call it? They call it a supporting leg. I call it a front foot. Same thing. And Champion's really made this so simple. Right on here, when you unpack it, you're going to see the bolt, the flat washer, the lock washer, and the nut. So it's pretty well simple. Slide it through. Matter of fact, let me grab, even though they provide lock washers, I still would like to go ahead and just add a little Permatex. A little extra insurance is not going to hurt anything. So we'll go ahead and try and do this. Slide the lock washer on, the flat washer, get the nut, and this is going to be a 14mm nut and bolt, so you will need 2 of them. And I just go ahead and hand snug them down. So that's really to that. I'll go ahead and do the rest of this off camera. I'll tighten that down. I guess we'll be ready to flip this unit over, and it'll be supported on its own. Alright, well, we got this thing pretty well assembled. Now it's time to add the ram and the control unit, which is going to be the lever. What we're going to do is we got 17mm bolts, and basically it's like a little clamp. We're just going to take 2 of these off. We'll set them down here to the side, and we're going to go ahead and grab the ram unit, and you'll notice there's like these big round dowels. Basically, as we bring the unit in, we're going to cradle it in here, set it down on top of this piece for right now, and then we'll come back and actually clamp the back of the ram right into place. Alright guys, did you just seen in somewhat fast forward motion? Pretty well simple. We just took the unit and slid it in. The powder coating is thick, so I can tell Champion has actually done a pretty marvelous job of having their products manufactured to a certain spec. I do like that. Assistant, could you hand me the thread locker, please? Yep. Come on. Thank you, assistant. Matter of fact, everybody, say hi to Leah.
Hi.
That's my little assistant for the day. Alright, getting back on track here. So, basically, everything seems like it installs pretty well, relatively simple. Again, I'm just a fan of locking things down. So, and this is basically all we're going to do. Just take it and thread one on here. The other one's already in, but I will go ahead and remove that as well and add some blue thread locker. I'll do all 4 of these, and we're going to go ahead and cinch them down, and we'll go ahead and move on to the other part, which is adding the front piece, the the part that actually pushed the logs forward. But let me go ahead and do all this off camera. Be right back with y'all guys. Alright, well, we're getting down to the nitty gritty. We just used a 17 millimeter to go ahead and clamp the whole ram in place, and we're going to be using it again. What we have is this cool diamond plate looking, I'm not sure what they call it, but I'm going to call it the ram head, because I guess it would be the head of the ram that actually forced on the log. This is pretty well simple. Just slide it to the very front. It should slide right on that. Pretty well cool. Nothing more than just run it through. Again, I use some blue Loctite. Even though they provide you with a locking nylon lock washer, which I'm sorry, nylon lock nut, which is pretty cool of them. They've already thought of the basic mechanic or home person, whoever's going to be assembling this. So they've already kind of taken the guesswork out. And let's see if I can get this thing in. Alright, so from what I see, I've got this one hydraulic hose, which is easy, and without even instructions I could tell I have one threaded part here on the pump, and I've got just a slip on here. So we're going to just wrestle this one part on. I just checked my kit, which goes up to 25 millimeter, and this one is obviously bigger. So what I'm going to do is go get slip joint pliers. I'll go ahead and tighten this fitting on, and let's see what else I've got. Better check the instructions, because the last thing I've got is this cut hose and this hose. So let me see how that's going to go. This one's just happened to be pretty well simple to figure out. Let me just double check this connection, and we'll just really might be about done. Alright, this is still pretty well easy. You have, coming off the control unit, you have a short cut hose. If you notice down here, you got like a little barb fitting. This is going to be easy. They even provide you the hose clamps. Slip one on. Get it down on the barbs. You go ahead and get it all the way. That technically is done. The other clear hose, which is, like I said, this is pretty well easy, on the bottom of the reservoir, and you got one coming off the pump. So what we'll do, we'll just take this one here. We're going to slip it over this other barb right on the pump. You got to love the clear hose, because then you can actually see what's going on. Hose clamp there. There's a little plug fitting. We'll take that little plug out, and that's just to keep the anything that's in that reservoir. Oh, I guess it'd help to pay attention. Make sure you put the hose clamp on and put it on. And Champion must actually test these units, because there's oil in them already, so you can tell they're at least a decent company. They double check what they're selling, so that way I guess they check for leaks, make sure everything's fully operational. So far I'm actually liking this company. Never owned any of their products until now. So far I think so far I'm actually liking this. I see a lot of quality in this cheaper unit than I've seen in a lot more expensive units. Alright, this is pretty well simple. You're going to take a screwdriver or hex, a little hex bit, screwdriver, whatever you want to call them, and you're just going to basically tighten up your hose clamps. Here's number one. We got number two over here. So we'll just tighten that one down. Try not to get in the way of the camera. If I am, I apologize in advance. But okay, and let me get around here. Tighten up number three, which is all the way down here. So that way we're not going to have any fluid loss once we fill this thing up. Alright, trying to hurry for you guys. I hate having dead space on my videos. And here we go. Alright, it's just like that. Let me just give it one more crank down. There we should go. Alright, so with that tightened down, we got one last thing. And for some reason, I went and grabbed the most absolute ridiculous size wrench for the job. And that would be these. I don't know how I acquired these. over the years, like I've done a lot of stuff, but I'm pretty well sure. Which way am I going? Yep. Pretty well sure these are just a little too large for the job. But, and I don't want to over torque them. Yep. That's it. I'll go through and double check everything else. Make sure this is ready to go. I do still need, pardon me. Let's see the specs. I still have to add, let me see, what is this saying? 0.4 quarts. It's not 4 quarts, so I'm guessing this is probably 4 liters. Basically what I'm gonna do, the good old way I was always taught to fill up oil in a small engine. So I apologize, guys. This is, if you notice, it tells you need 10W30. Crack this open. And they even provide you a cool orange funnel to go along with this. I love these guys already. You can see a nice little dipstick. Tells you the oil in English and Spanish and everything else. What I'll do is just put the funnel in here, fill it up until I got oil right to the base. Instead of trying to measure it out, I've always been taught just fill it up to the very bottom. You see the oil. You don't want to overfill these engines either, so you got to be careful. So we need, only thing we need is 3 things. We need crankcase oil, gasoline, some hydraulic oil, or if you live in colder climates, transmission fluid. She's assembled. I think for what I paid, I got a hell of a deal. This is the Champion 80cc 7-ton log splitter. It is ridiculously heavy from trying to just do a deadlift out of the box, and the heaviest part is going to be that ram. If you notice, we'll just grab this, and it actually makes it pretty well easy to tote around. Now, I don't know if I just happen to come across this unit. What I'm going to actually do is probably modify their setup and actually create a piece that I can bolt and unbolt off this unit, hook it to my rod and mower, because this will be going to the off-grid project. Hey guys, appreciate you staying tuned, watching the whole assembly of this thing. This thing's actually pretty well awesome. See a lot of good quality in this thing, so we're going to give it the ultimate test. I'm going to go ahead and gas it up, put all the other fluids in, and we'll be taking it out to the off-grid project, better yet known as the Off-Grid Education Center. And we're going to be at the Survivor Center camp, which is part of the, basically the whole setup of the Off-Grid Education Center. We're taking it out there because we're going to be creating firewood for camping, for the cabin build. We're going to eventually have a wood stove in there, so this is one reason I bought it. Eventually, where you see me right now, where I've done this assembly, this house hopefully soon will be sold. I'll be moving to the other end of the property in a newer home that we're going to be putting out there, but I'll always still have the cabin out in the middle of the woods, and that's where we're going to give this thing a real punishment test. So far I see Champion did not do bad on manufacturing. All the specs seem up to par, but now I got my hands on it, so we're going to give this thing hell. I've got the recommended size logs, I've got a little bit oversized logs, so we're going to see exactly what this thing can do. I appreciate y'all staying tuned. Please comment, rate, subscribe, thumbs up, and if you want to watch the rest of this video on the torture test, check it out on Massis Outdoors. Thank you so much.